Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Eyes in My Life. Love you and I love you so much. Oh, 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 I just love you. I just like help. I just like help. I just like you too. I just like you. I just love you. Happy New Year.
Good afternoon. This is Linda, and this is the Optimize Your Life show, brought to you by the Hope Collection. And today we have the privilege of hearing from Beth, Wyman, who is a nutritionist, a registered dietitian, and hopefully we'll have some call-ins today. But otherwise, I know there's people listening, and just, giving all kinds of wonderful, helpful information. So welcome, Beth.
Thank you. Oh, I think we forgot our background music still.
You can still hear background music?
I can.
Oh, dear. I don't know how this
The Hope Collection for making this show possible. Their unwavering
Yeah, that's so weird, because I normally can get things off. There should go. Okay, I think we're good. I believe we're good now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
You're welcome, anyway.
We got this. Yeah, so normally I am ready to go and have some kind of topic that I've been talking about all week with clients, and I don't have that this week. It's very interesting. I guess usually it's been very strange, because usually this time of year is when I start talking about like holiday eating and dealing with parties and things. And usually that is what dominates my conversation essentially from now through January. And that's just, for whatever reason, not been the case this year. I think part of it is a lot of my work right now is focused on like food access. So it's more of like making sure people have food in general. And so these are not like, they're looking at it a little bit differently. They're not worried about like office holiday parties necessarily. Like, it's just a different, we still talk about how to approach holiday eating, but the conversation is a little different. So yeah. And I guess it's kind of the same. You come back to the basic principle of like, you get to control what goes onto your plate, right? And so even when you're not in control of the food, either what's being made or in a lot of these situations, like what's available at pantries and things like that, you make the best of it, right? So, and trying your best to get in half of your plate as vegetables, and it's that attempt that makes the difference. It's not about being perfect. And it's actually been really cool to get away from a lot of like the tracking. I mean, tracking is wonderful. It's actually a tool that I have to use regularly. Otherwise I get so far off track. But I don't know, it's been nice to focus on that basics of like, okay, here's how to look at your plate every time you eat and make sure that it has what you need, and making the best of the situation. And so it's like, okay, you're diabetic, but you're going to like, the free breakfast at church. Can you pick fruit and yogurt instead of a Danish, right? Like, and making some simple swaps. And it's wonderful to let go of the like that narrative of like, okay, well, what brand yogurt is it, and does it have like, is it organic? Like nobody cares. It's not. Yeah, so it's nice to have that very base conversation. There's a lot less of the like health misinformation from the internet, because it's just not, if you think about it from like a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So that is this theory of like you need to have certain needs met before you can worry about the next ones. The base is like safety, right? Your body is safe. You have shelter. And then I think like the next is like food and nutrition, and then the next is like I forget the word. So like personal satisfaction and enjoyment. And then it goes all the way up to like, I don't know, like enlightenment, right? Like learning more. And yeah. So it has stages, and basically if you don't have your base met, you can't move on to the next level, more or less. So it certainly applies in my food conversations, because if you don't have that, like if I'm starting to talk to somebody and I'm like, okay, well, you want to make sure that when you're looking at yogurt labels that you're getting one with less added sugar, and and if you like the texture, go for a Greek yogurt because it has more protein. And like that's going to go in one ear and out the other. If I'm talking to somebody that's like, cool, how do I buy yogurt? Like, that's not going to happen. Here's what I got from the pantry this week. Tell me how to use it. And so like the program I am working with, it's like it provides food and nutrition education. And so then I know what foods they got, and we can talk specifically about how to use those foods, right? So it becomes extremely tangible. And then the hope is that after doing it for 6 months, it will start to become routine, and they'll start to gravitate towards those foods when they're able to make choices. Yeah, so
the thing
it's
that
been
I
a
always
nice shift.
get concerned with is, especially this time of year, that, okay, we're giving out all these frozen turkeys, which is fine. What if the person doesn't own an oven? I mean, there's some, yes, everything. I know at our church, they had these big grocery bags and labels on it, what we were supposed to pick up, so we did, several bags. And then they donate turkeys. But hopefully, the people that are getting it know how to cook a turkey. In all 50 years of marriage, honestly, I have cooked one turkey. Because this year we're doing a chicken this year. There's only 4 of us. We're not going to have even the smallest turkey, So, but sometimes it's like it sounds good, but if you're have a very limited household, I mean, like I'd say 90% of everyone has working ovens, but there are people in the economic era that would need to get the food bank food. Hopefully they know how to protect, not protect it, cook it. So I like how you said that they also, and I'm sure our food bank probably does the same thing, and, has instructions and information on how to cook.
And it's a lot of them will have, it's a great point of education, right, from the food bank itself, that they can provide education on how to cook it. But you make a good point, and it's something that we take for granted. It's like, okay, but do you have an oven? And that's one of the questions that I start out with, is really like, okay, do you have a kitchen, and how do you cook, and how do you make food, and that kind of thing, because they may have a kitchen, it might not have a working stove, or like things, or they, right, or a working fridge or something like that. And so then it becomes, okay, how can we, like, are we able to connect you with some resources to help with that and get you a fridge or something like that? So it's definitely a lot of meeting people where they are and recognizing that, like, nutrition, it's called nutrition security, right? And so we think of food security a lot and forget that the nutrition quality of it is also very important. So it's, and I know I've mentioned this before, right? It's the difference between giving a box of cookies, like, now you're not food insecure, you have food. It's not like beneficial to your health in any way. It's just calories. It's food. You'll be alive, but it's not going to be, it's not supporting your health, right? I don't even want to say improve it, because maybe somebody's not looking or doesn't need to improve their health. They just need to support their health and keep it where it is. So that is the opportunity that we're looking to provide, which is a really, really cool thing to be a part of. And it's nice because, I don't know if I've ever talked about my employment journey on this podcast, but I worked for a big area hospital, and I ended up working in business and strategy, and it was not my cup of tea, I guess. There were aspects of it I liked, but it was very much just the business end. And so you were helping the business, which trickle-down effect, the existence of the business then ends up helping people, right? But it was very disconnected at that level and in those settings. So it's really nice to be back into things that help individuals, but at a bigger level than just one-on-one, right? It's not just me telling you how to eat. It's me helping, like, honestly, eventually, hopefully, it's also helping to change the food offerings at pantries. And there's, at least in our area, there's like a healthy pantry initiative. And so the pantries get like extra stuff and things if they offer certain foods or certain types of foods to what they call pantry guests, the people coming in. And so it's like an incentive program for the pantry, but then the people are the ones that actually get the biggest benefit, because they're going to be able to support their own health and be what's considered nutrition secure, getting foods that will actually support their health. It's like I have the choice to go to the store, and it's my choice of what I buy and if it's going to support my health. But if you can't make that choice, it's like, well, what? I just don't get to choose to be healthy because I can't afford to go to the store, or I can't afford the healthy food items. So it's kind of cool. What's really interesting is we have one pantry within the Food as Medicine program that they do get some other things from like the regional food bank and everything, but specifically for this like 6-month program that we've been doing, they've been buying a lot of it at Walmart and then providing it. So I'm hoping to get some like hard numbers from them about like what that actually looked like, and be able to show people like you were eating these healthier foods. They were whole grains, they were fresh fruits and vegetables, or like canned with no added salt, or canned in juice, and it was lean protein, and it was only whatever $60 a week or something, based on like sales and brands and things like that to keep the price down. So you can find food that is healthy in places that don't necessarily have the reputation for being like health or food oriented at all. I was floored. They were like, yeah, no, we just go shopping once a week and get all the stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, if that's what works, that's incredible. So it's, and that reminds me, I don't know. And not that it made me it made me feel a little bit justified, right? I am against choosing organic for the sake of organic because it has that name, right? And we've talked about health halos, that it's got this idea of that it's better for you because it's organic, and that's really just this artificially created health halo. And there was a big recall in the past, I think it was 2 days ago it started, on organic carrots.
Oh, really?
And I was like, yeah, for E. coli, just like recalls that you would see for it's happened with lettuce, it's happened with onions, it's happened with It just kind of goes to show that organic doesn't mean better. It's still susceptible to contamination. It doesn't make it perfect. And I've said on here before too, it doesn't change the nutrient profile. It's still a carrot. They were carrots that were shipped to big name stores that people also usually associate with a better, healthier choice, like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. Because I don't know how many times I've heard, well, I got it at Whole Foods. And I'm like, cool, it's still a cake. I don't know what to tell you. And they're like, oh, well, I got these snacks, but they're from Trader Joe's. And I'm like, okay, it's still a chip. It's not suddenly better.
I was underwhelmed at Trader Joe's. I just, Is that Miss Beth? It is. Hi.
Hello. I know the Trader Joe's around. I'm good. We're talking about the carrot recall.
What carrot recall?
So there was earlier this week there was a recall on some organic carrot brands. I
don't buy
I did share
food. Every time I do it costs more and it usually rots out faster. I know because it doesn't have any preservatives on it. But I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm just always, So anyway,
yeah. No, then you're safe. Yeah.
I believe I'm protected. Very dear friends of ours they're Canadians, but Robert and Angela Blake, I can't wait to introduce you to them. They're sweethearts, and we've adopted their kids and now their grandkids. They're part of the family. But anyways,
nice.
Robert has come across a company that they are using a direct marketing program to promote their product, but it's a natural organic item that is supposed to help. And it seems the guy it's a supplement. And so I'd like to, if I can link you to, or if Robert Blake calls you, I'm just asking for permission.
Oh, sure.
Good. And then you can give me test results. Yeah, so
I'll let you know what I think.
Supplements
have their time and place, so it might be something that's beneficial, and then it always depends on who's taking it and why, right? To really kind of send it home of, okay, well, does this make sense to take? Because there's all kinds of reasons, and it's helpful for one person.
There's things that can counteract against the medicines I'm already taking. I have to be careful about that. Now, I will say one thing I just recently experienced. Over the years, we've been introduced to many different friends and different people and different, that there was CBD, DBC, whatever oils, and from time to time I've actually broke down and spent money. It was always a waste. And until this time I got some that I actually got it as part of something else, gummy bear supplement that I'm taking. But they had a DDD, whatever it's called, CBD, CD. Oh, Lynn's got the bottle right here. But anyway, I put it on my ankle where I have 2 titanium rods, and I have endless pain and nights and problems. And then, of course, my 2 knee surgeries, one's pretty good. I don't have too much problem, but my last surgery still has quite a bit of discomfort with borderline pain. I put this, the last 2 days, I put this oil on both places, and I have no pain. None, zero, none.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and Linda has, well, she's had arthritis that some days she can't bend her fingers or they are bent, and she's used it a couple times now too. It's 2 days you don't have it, and it's had a very, very, very positive effect. So
I've heard great things for with CBD and arthritis pain. I mean, it's not something I've really delved into the research of, but just anecdotally, like you're saying, I've heard that specifically for that arthritic pain, which is very similar to the pain after like a joint replacement and things, that CBD can be incredibly helpful.
Yeah, this is 300 milligrams from a company called Tranquil is the name of it.
Yeah.
And it's CBD.
I know.
That's what. So anyways, I just like to share that with you and testimony to it, that it really is. I mean, if it wasn't that completely obvious and direct, I wouldn't even say anything, but I'd just say, oh no, there's some more money. So anyways, I want to share that. And I'll have Robert I'll have him send you either a link or a time.
Sure. And this is one of those things, I guess it's like nutrition adjacent, but I feel like a lot of research could have been done on the benefits of different drugs that just wasn't, because they were like demonized and made illegal, right? Like think about if marijuana hadn't been demonized so much, we would have done this research and had the CBD and THC and known of its benefits and have been using it for who knows how long already and saved so many people pain. Or like they're showing that mushroom therapy and like I think like ketamine therapies and things are so helpful for PTSD, for veterans that have been in combat. And it's like, how many people could you help improve their lives over the course of time if we had been allowed to do all that research?
Right.
Well, my previous experiences, it's always been, I just wasted my money again. I can't say this time. It's been dramatic.
Yeah.
Thanks, Beth.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what comes out as things like this get to be studied, and what kind of like pain relief there is.
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, I have the arthritis in my fingers. There are times I cannot hold a pen. I can't open a bottle. I can't, I mean, and so, it helped yesterday. So, I'm going to keep using it and seeing how it works. Because I have tried every lotion and potion, and then you just end up smelling so bad. I mean, and
you're like, I'm not another scented lotion.
Oh, I know. I mean, like Ben Gay, it just makes your eyes water, and you can't put it on and then try to eat because everything tastes like menthol.
Everything's minty. Yeah.
So, I even have to watch. I have like in the bathroom, the scented foaming soap. But you have to watch which one, because sometimes you wash your hands and then you try to eat and all you smell is perfume, and it's just You know, maybe it just bothers me more than others, but
like this, I'm trying to eat turkey, not pumpkin spice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm scented soaps. This is where we don't always get into like what I personally do. I try to keep things super general. I don't go for a lot of like heavily perfumed, scented soap, and this is where like it's like how much research is actually done in terms of like the overexposure to the fragrances, and we have in my house, my kids and I all have really sensitive skin, and so sometimes if something has too much fragrance or perfume, it actually irritates our skin. So we don't do a lot of heavily scented stuff in general. It might be like I'll do like the Mrs. Myers, which has a pretty heavy scent, but I'll dilute it. But nobody wants to be eating like a lavender breeze while they're with their lunch.
Yeah. In fact, the soap that I have in my kitchen is a lemon. It's not lemon. It's lemon.
Oh gosh.
It's just too much, and I'm going to toss it because I just don't like it. But then I didn't like to smell like the Bengay or the different the creams, whereas this doesn't seem to have a strong smell.
Is this one's unscented?
It didn't have any. Although it is an oil, so I had to rub it in, but then I had a paper towel too because I didn't want. I'm in my craft room doing card making, and I didn't want to have any oil on my papers. But I bought some flavored waters, and I don't know what he had in the car. I had my doctor's appointment this morning, and so he just took a swig of the water, and I could smell the fruity flavor. So maybe it's just my olfactory is just an heightened alert or whatever because I'm smelling things more than normal maybe. So
that's a very scented water, but yeah, it happens. Or sometimes it's like the air circulation of the room catches it just right.
Yeah. It seems to have more of a fruity smell than a taste. But
they make water bottles now. I know my son was asking for one, and I told him absolutely not.
Ticket or something like that.
So no, there's one called Air Up where it's a scented ring around the top, and so it doesn't actually change the flavor of the water. You're just smelling something while you drink it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so there's nothing actually.
If he drinks so much water, he just every once in a while will pick up, the flavored water, but it's not really a juice. It just has such a small hint of a flavor, but yet I could smell it. And that's how I am with tea. Like, I love the scent of tea. If it tasted as good as it smells, like you have a peppermint tea or cinnamon tea or something, but it doesn't taste to me as good as it smells.
Oh, you can make it just as like a way to like scent the house, make a nice big pot of tea, and then just not drink it. That's something I love. Oh, what I haven't done in a while is so my grandma grew up in India because her parents were missionaries, and so and she's a fascinating woman. She's my grandma that moved up here, so near me, over the summer. And so, yeah, it's been pretty awesome that she's now a very regular part of our lives. We see her a few times a month. So that's been really nice. But I have her chai recipe from India. So it's how to make it on the stove in a big pot and have chai. It's like a milk tea.
Okay.
And it's seasoned. Like there's like cardamom and I think it's like cloves and things in it. And I haven't made that in a while, actually. But that's
like
always really delicious.
The hot spice cider, had a friend that would make that every year, and it's just everything smelled so good. She baked it in the kitchen at the office. We had a stove back then, but again the apple cider and the cloves and I don't know exactly what she put in it, but it always made everything smell so good.
That's something I didn't do this year, is like a hot apple cider on the stove. I haven't done that yet. I feel like fall has really gotten away from me. We did make it apple picking, so we did do that. Oh. I've made 2 apple pies. I'm going to make another one for Thanksgiving. I'm trying to save a lot of my Thanksgiving stuff for next week.
Yes.
And we can I have like all this different stuff I usually tell people specifically about Thanksgiving. So I guess we could tease out some of it, but like Thanksgiving's one of the easiest ones. Like the main dish is turkey. Like it's a lean protein. Like so it makes it a lot easier. But so I'm in charge of bringing a pie. My grandma's bringing a pie, and then my mom is doing the rest of it.
This is one of the few times that we are actually hosting, but it's just 4 of us. It's just Ron, sister, and her husband. So we're just doing we're stuffing a chicken and mashed potatoes and gravy and 2 kinds of stuff and corn and carrots, because I like carrots. Ron likes corn, so Susie likes squash, so we're doing that. So it's gotta be fun. It's going to be nice. But when you were saying earlier at the beginning about not knowing so I looked up holiday eating tips. So I did come across some holiday eating tips. It says, avoid carrot sticks. Anyone who puts carrots on a holiday buffet table knows nothing of the holiday spirit. In fact, if you see carrots, leave immediately. Go next door where they're serving gumballs.
That's incredible.
Drink as much eggnog as you can, and quickly. It's rare. You cannot find it any other time of the year but now.
This is a great list.
If something comes with gravy, use it. That's the whole point of gravy.
Oh gosh, I can't wait. My favorite thing to do at Thanksgiving is my mom makes rolls. Actually, usually I make the rolls. I'm going to ask her if she wants me to do that again. But homemade like yeast dough rolls, like real rolls.
Yes.
And I cut them open and make like little Thanksgiving sliders. So I'll put like turkey and sweet potatoes and cranberry sauce inside my roll and then eat it.
Yes. In fact, there was a restaurant that we used to go to when I worked downtown, and they had the turkey, the stuffing, and cranberry sauce as a sandwich on a roll.
Yeah,
and
it's delicious.
That was always good. Yeah. My mom was famous for her yeast rolls. And my girlfriend, she taught me and my girlfriend. My girlfriend can make them. I'm not as good, at making them. People would pay her to mention or to mention, to make
I'll make.
So good.
I will bake all day. My cooking is like passable. So it's, which is kind of funny because as a dietitian, people will be like, oh, well, what should I cook? Do you have any recipes? And I'm like, you're going to find them the same place as I am. And don't think that I suddenly make it better than you. I don't have a culinary degree by any stretch.
It's
just that I know what it does in your body.
She did catering and home ec and all that fun stuff. But I'm a baker. Just not usual. Mostly because I either don't need enough or need too much. But because it really is by touch. But next on December 8th, I'm having my cookie exchange. And my girlfriend and I have had, I think this is either our 25th or 26th year that we have had a cookie exchange. And
wow.
It's just everyone, brings cookies and then we just all divvy them up. It's always so much fun. So, and the 1 year I was so busy making sure everyone got their cookies, I never got any. It's like,
oh no!
You always seems to me, Linda, get in line, make sure that you get some cookies.
Yeah. It's I used to do a lot of different cookie exchanges. That sort of like fell by the wayside. But cookies, the nice thing is a lot of them freeze really well. So you don't have to feel obligated to eat them all right away. You can put them away. And that whole out of sight, out of mind thing works really well, right? You're not going to sit down and eat all, whatever it might end up being, 6 dozen cookies.
Yeah. Because really, at least I never, because what I like to do is make the refrigerator cookies. Yeah, you make the dough and then you roll it into a log and freeze it. And then you can just slice off 6 cookies and put it back in the freezer and cook, and that I used to just somebody was selling in a pot or like a plastic container, and you could just scoop them out. But that's to tell you that was too much trouble. Having it in the roll, you can just throw it in in a baggie in the freezer and just slice off a few. And
have a fresh baked cookie.
You can have, a quick, and then if you know somebody's coming over, you can just slice off a couple and, or a dozen or so. So, and it's easy, to make up the dough ahead of time and then just keep it on hand.
Yep. Yeah, and things like that are typically good for 6 months, possibly even a year. In the freezer.
Yeah. Well, it never lasts quite that long because I don't make that. Yeah, but
you've got plenty of time. There's no rush.
Yeah. Ron loves oatmeal raisin cookies, and so I made up some of those for him. But I made them very big, so that I didn't have a lot. But he was even eating them for breakfast. They have so that worked out good.
I played around with an oatmeal cookie recipe at one point to make a breakfast cookie. I'll have to dig it out, but it was basically like oatmeal, peanut butter, banana, just to have that easy grab and go something that you can use as a quick breakfast. When I was going into an office for 8 a.m. every day, breakfast was one of the really difficult things for me, and so I needed grab and go type things. There's plenty of times where I just had a protein shake for breakfast, because it's like a protein shake and an apple. That was like my go-to because it's more than nothing.
Right.
And then those cookies, and I want to say I put like protein powder in them just so that I had that content in there. But it, right, something. Yeah. I might have to go back to that when I start going in all the time again.
Yeah, because that was the hardest thing for me. I used to have to be at work by 8 a.m. downtown. And so, I got in the habit of, because I can't eat on an empty stomach. I can't eat when I'm first get up. So I would take the oatmeal packet and just have a mug of oatmeal at work. Because it was handy. I could keep it at my desk, and so. But because by the time I got to work, I'd be hungry, so I could.
You were ready to eat by then, so.
Yes.
And some people just can't eat when they first get up, and that's you make it work, right? You find a way to still have breakfast. You just eat it once you actually get into the office, and it still works, still accomplishes what you set out to do. It's, I don't know, the more we give up on things needing to look a certain way, the easier it is to actually accomplish whatever the goal actually is. And that's what allows like a creative thinking.
But the thought that you need to have the bacon and eggs and toast and all that food first thing in the morning. Well, unless you're going out being a farmer and working in the field, if you're eating that much and then sitting at a desk job, I'm sorry, you don't need, maybe
that's a lot of breakfast.
Or something. Yeah.
I remember, and this has sort of kind of gone by the wayside, or I guess just because I'm in a different role, but I just remember when I worked in the hospital, if we had people that were on a very low sodium diet and so they couldn't have bacon or sausage with breakfast because it was too high in salt, and then they would look at me and they're like, how can I have breakfast without a breakfast meat? And I'm like, you just eat it? I don't understand. It was very interesting that it was this big adjustment for some people that, like, it's still breakfast and it's still going to give you what you need. And so there was like this re-education point of like, well, your eggs are giving you protein, your milk is giving you protein, or your yogurt is giving you protein. Like you're getting your needs met. Like it doesn't need to be through a breakfast meat. And in fact, your bacon is very low protein and primarily fat. Like it's
we had friends over for dinner last Wednesday, and we were talking about, different places we'd traveled, and he said, they spent a week in Israel, and it was wonderful, but he couldn't wait till they got to Italy, and he could have some bacon.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just so funny. It's like, we just don't eat bacon a lot, and when we do, we buy the turkey bacon, which but it's just so funny. It's like, yes, it was wonderful. It was beautiful, but there was no bacon.
Yeah, it's not. Where was he? Israel.
Israel, yeah.
Yeah, it's not kosher because it's pork.
Oh,
yeah. It's interesting to have all the different like cultural aspects to food too, and that was something that like in school we had entire classes on like semester long course on like nutrition and culture, I think it was called, or something, where we just spent the entire semester learning about different cultures and the way that they use food in their celebrations and different traditional foods that they eat and things like that, because then when you're counseling someone and they're from a certain culture, you are more aware of how to incorporate foods that they actually eat instead of just bringing them all over to like, all right, baked chicken and broccoli. Like, you can still accomplish the same goal using their cultural foods.
Right. Well, when we lived in Jamestown, again, 50 years ago when we were first married, was very Swedish, and we learned quickly some sort of Christmas dinner or Christmas parties at a very Swedish household, unless you want to eat very traditional, to us, very strange food. To them, it was, but a lot of times, like, I'm not Polish, but I went to a high school that was very Polish, and of course, all of our lunches were very, very Polish. But I'm sorry, but that soup may be a treat for some, but it was not for me. And it's funny, some of the and every nationality seems to have, a very, from haggis in Scotland to rice in Italy, and the korv or the Lutzfisk in Swedish, sometimes, especially in holiday food, it can be very different. And holidays are where a lot of those very cultural foods come out, because it's a celebration, and it's really, Thanksgiving's a very American holiday, but as we get into other winter holidays, there's a lot of cultural and religious ties, and so there are cultural foods tied to even the same holiday. Like, it might all be Christmas, but there's all different food ways that it's celebrated based on culture. Yeah. And so it's, I think it's super cool to see all those different ones, and see different ways that people celebrate the same thing. And then it usually is some sort of relief to people when I'm like, you don't have to cut those things out. And it really, it's like, let's take a look at them and see where they fit in to the way that you've been eating for your diabetes or your blood pressure or whatever it is, right? And it's like, okay, well, this thing that you make is like covered in salt. That's not a great choice. Is there a way to make it with less? Or maybe you just have a very small piece of it. Like, finding out how to, I don't know, how to make it work. Yeah.
Because the food, it has huge social implications, and I feel like that's never more obvious than this time of year. That it's a lot of social implications to our food this time of year. And it's not bad, it's not wrong. It just is. And then it's about just being aware of what's going on and why you're doing something. For a while I worked with people who had weight loss surgery, and that's a completely different animal. I'm like, well, I can't even tell you do it in moderation because you're going to get really sick if you eat, something high sugar. So that was a case where moderation usually wasn't even an option. I'm like, in this case, you need to just remember that you are here for the social aspect, right? It's a social gathering. And so you need to keep that in mind, that you're not actually here for the food. Your food is just to sustain you, and you stay social, engage with different people, talk with them, and truly visit. So there are cases where you can't just do a little bit because it's going to make you real sick. And that definitely happens after weight loss surgery. So, but that's not everybody, right? And I try to keep this super general. So it's one thing that can happen, but it's not everybody's reality. Most people, you can have a little bit, or find a way to make it slightly different. We used to have a neighbor who had like a Brazilian dish that was very traditional to her family around Christmas, and then they became vegan. So she found a way to do it with like mushroom paste instead of meat. They were like these, like almost like ravioli kind of. And so they did it that way instead and adapted it so that it was still the flavors that were important to her and that like time together making them and the celebration and remembrance of culture, but in a way that fit with her vegan lifestyle. So there's always, so it's not exactly the same, but it's close.
Mhm.
And the social and cultural aspect is still there.
Right.
Yeah.
The important part. I just remember my sister-in-law, my older brother, his wife is from the Philippines, and I'll never forget the first Thanksgiving that, because my brother lived in Japan for 20-some years. He was in the Air Force, and so when he met Emily and he retired and they came back to the States, all of our traditional Thanksgiving food was so foreign to her, because if you think about it, it's a lot of what we eat, especially in the North, they're all like root vegetables. You have your and then and so it was completely foreign to her. So things. So we incorporated some of her food. She makes I can't even pronounce what, but they're like a spring roll, but they're thinner. And so when she comes, she'll bring, and when they have a party, they have a lot of the Filipino food. And the one time she's at a summer party, she says, "Linda, I made American potato salad." And so I, take a scoop and I spit into a potato salad with a great big, in mayonnaise, a great big chunk of pineapple.
Oh, that's interesting.
She had potatoes, but she had added pineapple to it. So that was kind of funny, But she was so proud that she made American. I mean, mind you, it's been 30-some years. I mean, she, but it is funny that and how in families incorporate different flavors and different traditions from, especially when you're married, your husband or wife is coming from a different background, obviously, and so so you kind of blend different traditions and different foods in too.
Sure, yeah, and it's that blending that creates something new and different. I mean, there's all kinds of like fusion restaurants and things. It's the same kind of thing in your own kitchen.
Yeah.
So it's, and like I said, next time I want to cover a lot of how to approach Thanksgiving, because it'll be timely since it's the week of Thanksgiving. It'll be the day before. Yeah. And then, more about holiday parties and holiday gatherings and stuff, because it's something that always comes up this time of year.
Yeah.
And so, Well,
So, but it was neat going to my doctor today and having my checkup, and all of my numbers are so good. It just really made me happy. That's
so wonderful. It's like you can finally see the results of the work you've been putting in when you get to see numbers change, right? People change their eating habits for all reasons, and sometimes you can't really see until if you're trying to adjust your cholesterol like, you can't see that. You have to wait, like, a couple months and get it checked again to see if it's doing anything.
Right.
So it's kind of nice to kind of actually see, like, oh, okay, this is doing something. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, can we end a few minutes early? Because I have a webinar I'm going to try to catch at 1 o'clock.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you so much for the time, too. But if you want to just wrap up, let's do that.
So, yeah, all right. If anybody's looking for more, I'm on Instagram at Beth Wyman _RD. I'm always active in our Optimize My Life Radio Facebook group. I know I put something up last week after the show. I know I said something today that I was going to put up, so I'll figure out what that was and put it up as well. But that's always a good resource as well, and I know there's a chat channel in there just for this show, too. Thank you all for listening.
Well, you have a wonderful week, and we'll get some great holiday tips next week.
Absolutely. All right.
Other than eggnog and rum balls. So.
Yes. Although those are great tips. All right. Bye.
All righty. Bye-bye.